Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. It's your girl OG Chizzy Beats. So if you didn't see my last community post, I've been traveling for like the last 2 weekends. I'm going to be traveling a lot more this summer. So that kind of explains the absence in my content, and there's going to be like a little bit of like gaps in between my content because I am traveling and just enjoying the summer and working as well. So anyways, in the time that I've been off, I have been binging the Kendrick Lamar album, specifically the song Purple Hearts with him, Summer Walker, and Ghostface Killah. Like the first time I heard that song, like I literally and instantly fell in love with it. Instantly. So today I'm going to be showing you guys a beat that I cooked up that is very similar in vibe to it, very lush R&B, drums, all of that. So if you're interested in seeing how I made this, go ahead, keep watching, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, hit the like button, and let's go ahead and get into the cook up. Okay, y'all, so the first thing I did to come up with this beat is, of course, come up with the chord progression. So I was listening to Purple Hearts a lot, like a lot. So my chord progression is very similar to the chord progression you would hear in Purple Hearts. And the way I came up with this lush chord progression is by really extending my chords. So for example, if we look at our first two chords, they're the same chord, and it's an A major ninth chord. And we know it's a major chord because we're in the A major scale, and as you can see, we're using the spacing of 3 2 3 2, and that is indicative of a major scale. And we know it's a ninth chord because we are using the first note of the scale, the third note of the scale, the fifth note of the scale, the seventh note of the scale, and the ninth note of the scale. So this is really how you create very lush chords. So again, for the second chord, we just use that same chord progression. And for the third chord, we use that same chord progression, but what we did here was we cut out that B at the top. And what I did here for the lower notes is that I took this G sharp and I brought it down here. So it's super close to the A and it's creating some great tension. And then I brought down this E all the way down to this bass note right here, which is again giving it some depth. And then to finish off this progression, we ended off on two minor chords, minor seventh chords. And we know this is a minor chord because it has the 2 3 2 spacing as opposed to the 3 2 3 spacing. So this is an F sharp minor seventh chord, and this is a G sharp minor seventh chord. So I hope that made sense. If it didn't, I do have another video that talks more about these types of chords in more detail. But this is a great way to make lush chords just by extending them and really going past 3 7th and going up to 9ths and even 11ths. And the sound that I use for this chord progression is called tack piano from Analog Lab, and it sounds like this. And to get it to sound like this, I actually added some effects. I used Cymatic's Origin plugin, which is a downsampling thing, which kind of makes it sound muffled and underwater. And I turned that down to 5,000 hertz. And then I just cut out some of the low end frequency and some of the mid frequencies. So altogether, this is what the tack piano sounds like. So super lush and super full, and I love it so much. And at this point, we had our chord progression, so we basically had our entire beat. It all just came down to layering and adding some accents. So the first layer I added was this German piano, again from Analog Lab. I used the same chord progression, and all together, this is what it sounds like. So the next thing I wanted to add was some texture to this. So I went into a one-shot kit that I have. It's called Aperture. And I chose out this sound called Bounce Back. That sounds like this. And I just took those chords and I only played it occasionally just to add some like effect, but not like be too much. And it sounds like this. So I thought that added some really great texture. The next thing I added was this choir. So I've recently gotten Contact after only basically exclusively using Analog Lab for like months. But I got Contact because it was on sale. And I used this choir called Choir Vowels. It sounds like this. And I just took my chords and I layered them up and I added like gross beats so it kind of like fades out at the end of the phrasing. And this is what it sounds like. And then the next layer that I added was some strings. I knew some strings would really fill out the frequencies that were missing. So I went into Contact again, and I used this sound right here. It's called Melody Orchestra, and it sounds like this. And I basically just took the chords and used only some of the notes within the chords to kind of like fill out the rest of this beat. And this is what it sounds like. So I loved how that sounded, and all together with the layers, this is what the beat was sounding like. So super full, super lush, and I was really loving the direction of it. And now that I have my layers, it was time for me to add some other melodies just to spice it up and give it a bit more texture to it. So the first thing I added was this string pluck. I went into expand, and I chose this sound called spiccato up and down, and this is what it sounds like. And I just came up with this super simple like pluck just to add some versatility to the beat. And this is what it sounds like. So just a quick way to add some texture and some spice to the beat. So the next thing I added was a piano melody. Again, I went back into Analog Lab and picked out a piano. And this is the little melody that I came up with. I just wanted something to like occasionally play to add some melody to this. So I really loved how that like complemented the chords. And the next thing I added was kind of like this ARP sound, again from 5 and XY's Aperture One Shot. And this is what it sounds like. So super simple, but I love it a lot. And then the last melodic element that I added was again a one shot from 5 and XY's Aperture Bank. I came up with like a whole like melody, but I ended up only using this last part of it, but I'll play the whole thing for y'all. This is what it sounds like. So again, I really love how that sounds, and it's just something to like spice up the beat towards the end, add like a different layer, add a new melodic sound to it, and really just add to that lush feeling. So all together, this is what my melodies sound like. So super full, super lush, just a gorgeous like kind of beat, something similar to Purple Hearts. And the last thing I needed to do was to really tie it together was add a bass line and add some drums. So for my bass line, I went in and added this 808 from produced by Loner's Layers kit called Lost Kids, and I came up with this pretty simple bass line that sounds like this. So super simple, but it really fills out those low end frequencies that I need. So the final element that I added was this drum loop. Kendrick Lamar and his producers really love to use live drums, and I personally don't know how to play live drums. There are live drum sounds that I could maybe make my own drum loop with, but honestly, sometimes it's just easier to find something on Splice and use it. And that's exactly what I did. I found this drum loop and I liked it a lot. And I thought it really sounded similar to Purple Hearts and complemented the beat. And this is what it sounds like. So I really loved how that sounded, and to make sure that it didn't feel limited in some of the sections where I wanted it to be quiet, like the verse, I just chopped it up and took out the kick and just kept the hi-hats and like the clap. So that is it. That is how I would make a big, lush R&B love song for Kendrick Lamar. And I really love Purple Hearts a lot. I don't want to talk about it too much because I'm literally in love with the song, but I was really inspired by this. I even made it on the plane to one of my trips in Vegas. Like, I was literally like, let me cook up something right away. So if you guys like this video, hit the like button, leave a comment. Let me know down in the comments what you guys want to see from me next. And I'm going to play this beat for you guys out. And I hope you guys all have a good day.
Eat that Chizzy.